Being on this sub and reading these stories reminded me of my own, and I thought I'd share. Last year, right around the weekend of Halloween, October 28th, I was late to show up to a friend's Halloween party. I had a supper to go to right before, completely across town. When I left, it was about 10 p.m., and I had an hour drive ahead of me. But if I took a shortcut into a not-so-safe part of town, I would have saved about 25 minutes. Big mistake. As I'm waiting at the red light in the sketchiest part of town, I look over to the sidewalk and I see 3 men, dressed up as the Purge, heading towards my vehicle. I look around me and I see that there are no other cars nor pedestrians. These guys start coming over to me, faster now, all of them carrying weapons. One had a baseball bat, one had a crowbar, and one had an axe. Whether they were just playing a Halloween prank or not, it was still the scariest experience of my life. Especially because right before the light turned green, they approached my window, and one of them even tried pulling on my passenger side handle before I peeled away. Prank or not, guys from the Purge, let's not meet again. A little bit of background. I'm a 22-year-old female, and I just moved to a small town from a big city with my dad. We moved into our house in early October of 2015, and we were having problems with a leaky shower in the bathroom adjacent to mine. So my dad called a plumber to come and take a look. The plumber arrived around 8 a.m. the following day, while I was getting ready for work in my bathroom. My dad let him in, so I hadn't gotten a good look at him. My dad then apparently goes down the street to gas up his car and then go to work, leaving the plumber to do his damn job in the bathroom. Now, my bathroom is just a toilet and a vanity, with a door leading into a shared shower room that has another door leading into my dad's room. So while I was getting ready, there was only a door between the plumber and I. I guess he figured out there was a lady in the house due to my hairdryer. Next thing I know, my door is opening and closing, and there is a very tall, very wide, very terrifying man with more legs than teeth locking my door from the inside behind him. He then walks 5 feet towards me and stops in front of my bathroom door. I freeze. He stands there, staring at me for the longest 30 seconds of my life. He hits me with the widest, untoothiest grin and literally looks me up and down multiple times. I hear the front door open and close, not knowing then that my dad had forgotten his wallet, and the plumber pivots on one foot in a twirling motion, unlocks my door, and walks out. My dad runs into my room, asking if that guy had really just been in here, and goes to run after him. But the guy walked right to his truck and left without fixing our shower. So my dad immediately calls the company we hired the plumber from and asks them to send someone else, but not him. And he tries to explain what happened to the manager. The manager proceeds to tell my dad it was our fault the man locked himself in my room with me because I didn't lock him out of my room in the first place. Sorry, dude. Didn't know I needed to lock myself away in order not to be creeped out by a so-called professional. Just terrifying to think what would have happened if my dad didn't forget his wallet. This particular event happened almost a year ago, sometime in mid-October. A couple friends and I drove out to visit an old friend of ours from high school, George, who now lived about an hour outside of the city. We spent the whole day with him, and it was really late when we finally decided to start the drive back home. My friend Lisa was passed out in the passenger seat, She had a few drinks and decided to spend the ride home asleep. My other friend Sam was sitting in the back seat behind Lisa and was playing a game on her smartphone. I, of course, was driving. I was following the GPS instructions back to the freeway. At that moment, we were driving down a dark street with thick trees bordering both sides. Everything was peaceful, with the only sounds I could hear being that of the car moving along the road and the radio on low volume. Suddenly, my car let out a loud jolt, and it felt as if I had hit something. Sam let out a shocked scream, while Lisa remained dead asleep. I slammed on the brakes, and the car came to a halt. I was breathing heavily when I asked what the hell had just happened. Sam peered through the back window and gasped. She turned to me with an angry look on her face and shouted that I had just hit a dog. I looked through the back window, and sure enough, a dog was lying in the road a few yards behind the car. Sam was a pretty big animal lover, so I wasn't surprised to see her pissed at me. She was about to open her door and rush to the animal's aid when I stopped her. Once I had gotten over the shock of running over a dog, I got a feeling in my gut that told me that something was off. I'm no expert driver, but I consider myself to be very attentive and safe. My eyes were on the road at all times, and I distinctly remember not seeing any dog in the road prior to the car jolting. Yes, it was dark, but I was sure that I would have at least seen the dog in the headlights before hitting it. I looked through the back window and took a closer look at the dog, or at least as much as I could make out in the reddish light coming from my taillights. It was a fairly big dog, at least a golden retriever or something like that. One particular detail caught my attention. I could see the dog's tail wagging. Now, I'm no expert on the mannerisms of animals, but I was sure that the last thing a dog would do after being hit by a car would be to wag its tail. After a moment of thought, I pressed my foot down on the accelerator and sped off. Sam snapped at me and ordered me to go back, but I told her that something was wrong with the whole situation. She continued to argue, but she fell silent as she turned back towards the back window. She asked, "What the heck?" with a shaken voice. I looked in the rearview mirror. Though it was dark, I was able to make out the silhouettes of 3 large figures emerging from the trees on the side of the road. The dog was up now on its feet, jumping around joyfully. The 3 figures looked in our direction as I pressed my foot down on the gas harder and sped off. Sam and I remained silent for the rest of the ride home. It wasn't until a few days later that we told Lisa about it. We've been back to visit George a few times since then, but we always make sure to leave before sunset. Still, I dread to think about what would have happened if we would have gotten out of that car. Thank you for watching. I always appreciate the support you show me, and I'm forever grateful for it. Hope everyone had a wonderful day. All my social media information is in the description box below. All the story, music, and image information is below as well. And don't forget, I'll see you.